Warning: the following video contains explicit language, which may be offensive to some viewers or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
Are you ready?
You know, I've heard a lot of fucking songs played on that station, and that's got to be the worst song I ever heard.
Hello, everybody. It's Jeff. So, really nice day here in Maine. You know, I know I said, a couple of days ago it was supposed to snow here this weekend. Yeah. We got snow, right? Yeah, sure. Beautiful day, not a cloud in the sky, and very sunny all day, and wasn't even that cold out. So, boy, did the weatherman screw that prediction up. Jesus. I don't know. I tell you, you know, it really is, you know, annoying because, you know, when people want to make plans in this state, okay, a lot of times when they do that, the weather doesn't cooperate. But what makes it worse is when the weatherman can't get the weather right. I mean, because people depend on them to give them a heads up on, well, if it's okay to have a good weekend somewhere or not. And I imagine a lot of people today probably felt they couldn't do anything this weekend because they were saying snow. And here we had a nice Saturday, and you know, and it's just a complete opposite of what we were told. So that can get pretty fucking annoying, you know. So, I don't know. I feel like this is ridiculous. You know. But anyway, I got a couple videos here. And the first one is from Ben Meisalis. And he's talking about how Elon Musk is bribing people in Wisconsin for $1 million, you know, to go and vote for a person that's running out there that's pro-Trump, okay? Now, of course, you know that's breaking the law, but they're going to break this down here in the video, and so let's take a look at that and see, you know, what they're going to say about that.
Wisconsin is under attack by the Trump-Musk Doge regime, and Wisconsin voters are absolutely pissed off. Look, it's no secret that Trump was able to eke out and win the state in the 2024 election by promising lower prices on day one, by promising to end the war in Ukraine in 24 hours, making housing more affordable, promising this, promising that. I alone can fix it, which of course we were warning about was a lie, but some people bought into it. Donald Trump would dress up like a garbage man and do these, you know, ridiculous stunts. Remember, the garbage man stunt was in Wisconsin. I think we've got a clip of it just to remind you when he went extra orange and dressed up like the garbage man. Here, play this clip. He went in the garbage truck and he promised that he was going to do all of these things. Well, look, Trump's tariffs are hitting the farmers, manufacturers, workers in Wisconsin hard. Trump's attack on the Department of Education is devastating to Wisconsin. Donald Trump's attack on Social Security, shutting down Social Security offices and services, is hitting Wisconsin hard. Trump's attacks on Medicaid. There's not a single thing that Trump's, you know, doing that isn't hitting Wisconsin hard. And, you know, I'll just show you from a local Wisconsin news channel, WSIN 12. I mean, this professor at Madison, he explains, look, it's when you do these tariffs up, tariffs down, you know, Wisconsin's kind of biggest, you know, exports, imports. I mean, Canada, Mexico, China. Here, play this clip.
So when you have this sort of whiplash with tariffs, first they're on the table, they're off the table, they're 15%, they're 25%. How does that impact the economy when it's not stable?
Well, one of the things that most businesses really don't like is uncertainty. And it's almost always easier to deal with a known situation and figure out how to best approach it than to be in a situation where you're not quite sure what your steps should be because you're not quite sure what the environment in which you're going to be operating will be. And that applies equally to dairy farms, dairy processing businesses, food retailers, and it's really sort of a nationwide issue that we should be thinking about.
So how significant of a trade partner is a country like China for dairy farmers, and what is the possible impact for Wisconsin's dairy farmers?
Sure. So I like to point out to people that our top 3 dairy trading partners, and this is national level data, are Mexico, Canada, and China in that order. So dairy trade is really pretty important for the U.S. dairy industry. It's been the main source of growth in milk production and product sales over the last 10 to 15 years. And so there are potentially some pretty major impacts of having strained trade relations with those major trading partners. About 40% of our dairy product exports by value went to those 3 countries in 2024. So this is a pretty important part of the dairy economy in the U.S. and in Wisconsin.
So now we have a major election in Wisconsin for an open Supreme Court seat there. You have a Doge candidate, a MAGA candidate, Brad Schimmel. Then you have a pro-democracy law and order candidate, Susan Crawford. We've had Susan Crawford on our program before, and you've heard her talk about upholding the law. And on the other hand, Brad Schimmel realizes right now, Trump, Musk, Doge, very, very unpopular. So what are they doing? Well, Elon Musk is coming into Wisconsin and he's announcing it. He's just giving away $1 million, giving away checks, like throwing money at people. So there's this post excited to announce our first $1 million award for supporting our petition against activist judges in Wisconsin. Next $1 million award will be announced in 2 days. Then he posts the following today. On Sunday, I will give a talk in Wisconsin. Entrance is limited to those who have voted in the Supreme Court election. I will also personally hand over 2 checks for $1 million each in appreciation for you taking the time to vote. This is super important. I don't know. It looks and feels, as a lawyer, just giving you my opinion, feels illegal to me, but let me bring in the Democratic chair of the Wisconsin Party, Ben Wickler. Hey, Ben, we just learned that Elon Musk deleted the tweet where he talked about paying people $1 million to show up at a town hall. I mean, was that a crime that we saw? What's going on in Wisconsin right now?
Elon Musk deleted that tweet because he knows that tweet was a crime, and it's still a crime. In Wisconsin law, it is plain as day. You cannot promise something of value in order to induce someone to vote or refrain from voting. This is Wisconsin statute, and it's a felony to cross that line. Elon Musk has committed blatantly, obviously, an illegal act to help Brad Schimmel buy his seat on the Wisconsin State Supreme Court. And Elon Musk should be brought to justice for that crime. This is something that we should not accept in a democracy, vote buying. And at this point, we have to ask whether Brad Schimmel knew about this, whether he approves of this, whether he's going to condemn Elon Musk for trying to buy votes, for promising something of value, which is itself a criminal act. This is not an edge case. This is a central question for whether we're going to survive as a democracy, or whether the richest man in the world will be able to pay people in order to get them to vote. And we need to make absolutely clear that this will not be accepted in Wisconsin or anywhere else across this country.
Ben, you believe a crime was committed, and that's why Elon took it down. And it is possible. What did Brad know? When did he know it? That needs to be looked into now, huh?
Absolutely. I mean, the idea of saying if you vote, you can come to my town hall and you could get $1 million. That is so far beyond the criminal threshold for vote buying. The threshold is if you offer someone something that's worth at least $1, then that itself is a violation of the vote bribery, the election bribery statute in Wisconsin. So you have to ask whether Brad Schimmel will immediately denounce this and call for an investigation, whether he knew about this in advance, whether he's planning to appear with Elon Musk when Elon Musk comes to Wisconsin this Sunday. What was it? Brad Schimmel calling Elon Musk and telling him to delete the tweet because they could get in trouble? What happened here? We don't know. But what we do know is this. If the richest person in the world can go around buying votes in order to buy control of courts, the way he seems to have bought control of the White House, then we have lost any semblance of the rule of law in the United States of America, and our democracy has been smashed to pieces, or I should say, cut with Elon Musk's chainsaw. We need to fight back against this, and it should be prosecuted in court, and it should be just triggering an avalanche in the ballot box, with voters making 100% clear that our democracy can't be bought. Susan Crawford's victory will send a message to the whole country that Elon Musk's illegal vote-buying schemes will trigger an electoral avalanche in the other direction. And if we can make that clear, maybe we can shut this down before it infects the rest of the country in 2026 and beyond.
I don't know the laws in, I have a sense of the laws in Wisconsin, and generally, in the United States when it comes to these things. We saw, I think, in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, when Musk was doing it there with certain populations, he likes to claim like, well, actually, what this is really about is a spokesperson. I'm giving somebody a job and I'm giving them a spokesperson position. So that's what it is. I mean, look, I think do the people of Wisconsin get what's going on though? And what do you say when he makes that kind of argument?
People absolutely get what's going on. And before it was, if you sign my petition, then you can be entered in this drawing, or we can give you a spokesperson fee or whatever it is. This crosses all of those lines because this is explicitly, you can get into my town hall if you voted. And if you voted, then I could give you this check. And so it is, Wisconsin statute says offering, giving, lending, or promising to give or lend anything of value to go to or refrain from going to the polls, that's a felony in the state of Wisconsin. So he's really like way out over his skis to the point where his skis are on the ground and he's flying over the cliff like Wile E. Coyote with this thing. And Brad Schimmel needs to condemn it immediately. I mean, this is an attempt to buy votes by someone who is doing everything in his power, including at this point, close to $25 million by our count, to help Brad Schimmel get elected to the top legal job in Wisconsin, the state Supreme Court office. I think Brad Schimmel is now tied indelibly to this kind of criminal vote buying behavior, and that creates a giant political problem for him. Elon Musk's money is and his behavior in this race is now politically a disaster for Brad Schimmel. And what we can see is that Democrats, people who believe in democracy, the rule of law, they are voting at explosive numbers in a way that I think could demonstrate to the whole country that Elon Musk is not the guy that you want on your side in this election or any other going forward.
Talk about this race, Ben. I mean, we've had Judge Susan Crawford on twice. I've covered, how dangerous, Brad Schimmel is. I mean, I've showed, first Brad Schimmel was trying to be like, yeah, I'm not really like a Trump guy. Like he tried to do that thing. And then he dressed up like Trump for Halloween. He goes to boat parades saying like, I love things. It's like Jesus, beer, and Trump. Like it was something like that. Like, he wears like Trump shirts out and about, this guy. So he's clearly a Trump Doge, kind of puppet, but explain to the people watching why is this so important? Why is he so dangerous? What are the stakes?
Yeah. So that clip that you played of Trump in his garbage man outfit, Brad Schimmel dressed up as that guy for Halloween right before the election this November, this last November. Brad Schimmel is a dyed-in-the-wool MAGA warrior, and he wants to use the Supreme Court, as he puts it on the campaign trail, to be Trump's support network. He says that Trump keeps losing in court, which you and I and the audience knows because Trump keeps breaking the law. But Schimmel says the only way to stop this is in the courts. So he's running to allow Trump to break the law, and now clearly to allow Elon Musk to break the law. So there's a deep question of accountability in the rule of law here. There's also, Elon Musk has his own personal case around Tesla dealerships going through the Wisconsin court system. So as always, this is a question around Elon Musk lining his own pockets. But it's also this question of whether people who are committed to public service can win elections in Wisconsin and across the country. Because Susan Crawford is exactly the kind of dedicated public servant that Elon Musk hates and is trying to drive out of the government. You had her on. You heard her story. She has been a prosecutor for years and years, keeping the public safe. She went into state government. She led environmental law enforcement at the Department of Natural Resources, which is something that Elon Musk clearly hates and loathes as he tries to gut any environmental protections in our federal government. In private practice, there was a case called Planned Parenthood versus Brad Schimmel. Brad Schimmel said that it was an honor to have his own name in that case. The lawyer for Planned Parenthood was Susan Crawford. She has fought for reproductive freedom successfully in our state. She defended voting rights when they came under attack by Republican voter suppression. She defended workers' rights. She has this track record that demonstrates her value, and now she's a judge who treats everyone equally when they walk into her courtroom, regardless of whether the richest person in the world or a random citizen. That's what you want. You want the law applied without fear or favor to anyone. So electing her is also an act of defiance against the people who want to tilt the playing field, who want to rig this country for the mega billionaires at the expense of everyone else. It's an act of defiance against a Trump-Musk administration that's trying to shred our Constitution and the idea of equal justice under the law. It is an active affirmation of the best traditions of this country that we're always aspiring to reach for. Susan Crawford is the kind of person you'd be proud to have on your Supreme Court. And Brad Schimmel represents everything that people who believe in democracy in this country are fighting against: the corruption, the extremism, the total partisan loyalty to someone who wants to be king instead of to the Constitution that you're supposed to swear an oath to protect. These are the stakes. And what happens in Wisconsin, the closest state in the country, it's the bellwether for what happens in the entire nation for years to come. So this is a must-win race. And anyone who can, you can go to crawfordforwi.com and give directly to her campaign. You can volunteer and donate with the Democratic Party of Wisconsin, wisdems.org. We are sending out door knockers day after day. We have virtual phone banks. You can join from anywhere in the nation. We're still finding every way that we can to buy more ads and get in front of more people. This is an all hands on deck moment. If we win, we send a message of hope in a moment where the country desperately needs it.
Ben Wickler, chair of the Wisconsin Democratic Party. Thanks for joining us.
Ben, thanks so much for having me on.
Okay. What can I say? We're living in dystopian times. And one of the signs, I think, is the fact that, we got a president who likes to operate outside the walls of the law. Okay? And he ignores the courts, and he ignores the Constitution. He ignores the boundaries that have been set in place for the president, and he does as he sees fit. He simply deems something to be, and it's done. And it goes on, and people feel like they can't stop him because they're just being ignored. And at this point, I doubt if the Supreme Court ever turned on him, he'd even listen to them. Because if the regular courts can't enforce their rulings or their things on him, what makes anyone think the Supreme Court of all people is going to be able to do that? Okay, he got what he wanted by putting people that support him on the bench. But at this point now, he doesn't really need the Supreme Court because he's just doing what he wants through executive orders. And if the Supreme Court tells him he can't do it, it's like, who cares? Nobody's going to stop me. So we need to have people out there who are going to enforce the rules. And until they do, we're living in dystopian times. Okay. Did we choose this? No. And I don't think most MAGA people even were willing to admit that these days could happen, at least not to this degree. But I think a lot of them now are feeling like they've been duped. And they've been hoodwinked or whatever. But no, I don't think people wanted it to be like this, even for some of those who voted for him, for Trump. And they certainly didn't think Musk would be such a big figure in the administration. In fact, he kind of overshadows Trump in many ways. But at the same time, Trump has his his back, so he basically will protect him. So if, they try to go after him for what he's doing out there in Wisconsin, I don't think it's going to matter because Trump will just fucking cover him, that'll be the way it'll go. And I think that him doing that's going to only infuriate the people that are out there now who are protesting Tesla and, and anything that's pretty much attached to Musk in name. So, I think that there's a lot to come out of this, if they decide to move on this, this tweet he put out or something, which he quickly took down. But hey, you put something up there for even a second and it gets copied and pasted and repasted, you can't undo it. He rang that bell and now that's it. So the evidence is there. He can't deny it. Even though he took it down, it doesn't mean anything because it was out there. And, he of all people should know better than to post things like that, right? I mean, isn't that, his X there, that website there that he's got, doesn't he have an algorithm there to protect it from people posting things in there? I mean, he knows that there's things you cannot say and do on these sites, okay? But he just sidestepped that and did this thing. It's like, were you drunk when you did that? Because you have to know, that this ain't right. If you're going to operate in this country, you should know the rules in it, right? I don't know. And so another thing that he's done here is, I guess Musk has gone to Trump and basically, said, look, let's get the government to go after the protesters who are out there protesting against him, and protesting Tesla. Let's get the government to round these people up. It's like, oh, so now we're going to attack free speech and the right to protest. Of course, everybody knew this was coming, right? I think it was obvious that the more that these protests were going, were happening, which they're happening a lot, okay? The more that this goes on, the worse Musk and Trump are going to feel about it. And before you know it, you're going to see cops going in there, trying to break up these protests using tear gas or whatever, and it's going to start physical violence, okay? That's what this is going to end up leading to. It's coming. That's why I said this summer is going to be a hot baby, okay? Because when it's hot around the country with record-breaking temperatures, people's tempers flare easier. People get incensed. It gets violent, and before you know it, there's going to be blood on the fucking streets, okay? And that's what I'm saying. This is only going to escalate, and this is one of the steps that's being taken that's going to escalate this whole situation that Musk is trying to quiet. But why is it these people never learn that you cannot suppress a protest with, oppression, because it only makes those protesters retaliate worse, in violence, okay? We've done that so many times in this country, trying to shut up protests, and when they try to go in there with cops armed to the teeth and everything, hey, all of a sudden, bang, some things start to happen, and it's all over the fucking news. It never works. It never fucking works. And so Musk and Trump are going to make that same mistake again by pressuring protesters out of these, out of doing their right, exercising their right to protest, okay? It's only going to get worse. And the thing of it is, I know it will, because, hey, some of these people are setting fire to cars and stuff like that, so you know how far they're willing to take it. Vandalism is not something they're afraid of. So people who own small businesses, if you're in the area where there's a protest and the cops show up, I hope you got bulletproof screens for your windows or something, because there's going to be fire. There's going to be gunshots. There's going to be people out there that are going to be pushing the police. And, a lot of people today, they can pick up, masks and stuff like that at any Army surplus store. They sell them. I mean, I see them over here. Okay, you want to pick up a mask there for, a gas mask or something, to wear, so that way those tear gas bombs don't. You got it right over there. So hey, it's like I said, Trump is going to create the very thing that Musk doesn't want to see happen. By going to Trump and asking him to use the government, to go in there to disperse these protesters and stop them from protesting, okay? People are going to get upset. You know, and as far as the courts are concerned, I don't know who's going to enforce for the courts anything they say about Musk concerning this bribery thing. I don't know. I'm not really sure there's anything we can look forward to with that. All I know is that the odds are, if I was to roll the dice, you know, he'll get away with it. You know, I'm sure he will. And so, you know, it's disappointing, yeah. But, you know, it's dystopian times, you know, and in times like that, you can always expect the worst thing to happen before, you know, good things happen. So anyway, let's go to commercial break. We'll be
I'm Alex Curtis. I'm a lobsterman in Maine, and this is me.
I'm Roxy Sugar, and this is me.
I'm Eric Hopkins. I'm an artist, and this is me.
This is me.
Me.
This is me.
This is me.
At the end of the journey, the main thing is you. Original.
Donald Trump is pressuring Susan Collins to give billionaires another tax break, paid for by cutting Medicaid and making your health care more expensive. Tell Susan Collins to stop selling out our health care. Maine senator should have a spine.
The comedy gods have finally answered my prayers. In crappy news after crappy news, they sent us all a gift. Donald Trump proved to us that a painting is in fact worth 1,000 words and went on this Truth Social rant last night. Sorry. Nobody likes a bad picture or painting of themselves, but the one in Colorado in the state capitol put up by the governor, along with all other presidents, was purposefully distorted to a level that even I, perhaps, have never seen before. The artist also did President Obama, and he looks wonderful, but the one on me is truly the worst. She must have lost her talent as she got older. In any event, I would much prefer not having a picture than having this one. But many people from Colorado have called and written to complain. In fact, they are actually angry about it. I am speaking on their behalf to the radical left governor, Jared Polis, who is extremely weak on crime. In particular, with respect to... Hold on. I can't pronounce that. I need some help. Hold on.
Tren de Aragua. Remove the savage gang. Tren de Aragua. Tren de Aragua. Tren de Arguay.
Thank you, Donald. Which practically took over Aurora. Don't worry, we saved it to take it down. Jared should be ashamed of himself. Now I know you have this image of yourself in your head, Donald, that's super unrealistic. Like, these are your NFTs. This is what you think you look like in your head. But in reality, this is what you look like. And if you ask me, it's pretty freaking spot on. I think the artist perfectly captured your essence. As a matter of fact, I think they did you a favor. The only thing that's exaggerated here is the amount of hair on the top of your head. I mean, right? And aren't you the least bit appreciative that the artist decided to round out your face instead of featuring your jowls? Like, I'm no art expert, but this is nice. In fact, it softens you a little bit. But what I find most hilarious is how much this upset your tiny, fragile ego. To the point that you had to exaggerate that so many people are angry over it. In fact, if I had to guess, no one knew this fucking portrait even existed until you decided to be a crybaby about it. And to be honest, the only other leader that I could imagine getting upset over a portrait is this guy. It's so true. I just love what a weak old man you are that something like this gets under your thin skin. So much so that you even brought up Obama's portrait. You're so jealous. At the end of the day, your face is what the artist had to work with. And it's sad that you don't like what you see, Donald. Anyways, bye.
VA Crisis Response Hotline. We're calling to inform you that your emergency request for in-person counseling or PTSD has been denied. To stop fraud, waste, and abuse, these services will be replaced by VetCare AI, powered by Grok, an X company. President Trump and Doge Chairman Musk, thank you for your service and being part of our efforts to eliminate waste. Have a nice day. Press 1 to repeat this message. Press 2 to return to main menu. Press 3 to leave a message, and an AI operator will call you back if your problem is deemed unwasteful. Goodbye.
Did you know that baking soda and ice-cold water is the crucial secret to reach firmness? Just go to the kitchen and do this before going to bed.
I never stopped to think about that.
Exactly. It's simple if you think about it. There's no miracle. The only thing that makes a man firm is increasing blood flow to that area.
That's what the famous blue pills do, right?
Yes, but they do it by dilating the veins. That's why they don't solve the problem permanently. There's only one way to permanently fix this problem without relying on pills, prescriptions, pumps, or exercises, and that's by clearing out the veins that are clogged with plaques. That's why the Indian doctor is getting so popular in the media. He discovered an Indian bull trick that can clear out more than 93% of the plaques. This brings 20 times more blood flow to the area for men. That's why this trick is so effective. A top research team at Johns Hopkins University investigated and confirmed that this trick works for any man, regardless of age. There are already over 62,000 men in America alone who have permanently reversed the problem.
When I saw that I could get firm again without taking any pills, I couldn't believe it. It had been years since I was able to perform.
For over 6 years, I couldn't stay firm. My marriage was terrible, and my wife left me, and we got divorced. That's when I found the Indian bull trick recipe, and I still can't believe I'm firmer than when I was 18. Now I'm dating a woman 20 years younger than me, and she's very satisfied with my performance.
That's incredible.
I told you it's something innovative, and it's been proven to work for any man. I'll leave the link to the free class here for anyone who wants to see it. So, click the button below and watch the free video with the full recipe.
But why isn't anyone talking about this in the media?
This trick was recently discovered, and since it was found, blue pill sales have dropped by over 60% in India. The industry is very worried that this natural trick will become popular in America. That's why they're doing everything they can to keep it from being publicized. This free class has already been taken down twice, and it's close to being taken down for the 3rd time. And this time, it looks like it will be permanent. So this could be the last chance for those who need to see this information. Click the button below and watch the free class with the complete step-by-step guide.
Some people have a deep, abiding respect for the natural beauty that was once this country. And some people don't. People start pollution. People can stop it. Write for Pollution Booklet, Box 1771, Radio City Station, New York.
Be a part of the entertainment value of a lifetime.
I loved it. It was the best performance I've seen in a lifetime.
I loved the show. I liked it very much. He's a very entertaining man. It's well worth the money.
Now appearing in Charlottetown, coming to Halifax November 6th to the 18th, and St. John November 20th through the 26th.
What? This just showed up today? Venice? I'll look at that in a minute. Okay, welcome back, everybody. So, the second video here is from the iHip Girls, and they're talking about Mike Johnson. And I guess the question on their mind is, what the hell is he? You know? I know they call him Moses Mike Johnson because, you know, he's got this religious cloak that he wears, I guess. I don't know. But he's a person with a lot of contradictions, and so they want to get into that about this guy. So let's go to that video here, and we'll discuss that on the other side.
The biggest freaks in Washington is the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson. He is freakier than Nancy Mace, Marjorie Taylor Greene, and all of the other Trump sycophants combined. And there is a rumor, and I just want to state that there is a rumor, but I think we have to address it, on TikTok right now that Moses Mike Johnson is dipping his toes in Grindr. Kylie, put up the first slide. So apparently he is messaging with somebody who's in Washington, D.C. He says, "What luxurious hair you have." And the person on Grindr says, "Thank you. I would return the favor in giving you a compliment, but I don't know what you look like." And then allegedly, Moses Mike Johnson says, "Are you in town for a couple of days visiting D.C.?" And the Grindr person says, "Yes, I am. Are you offering me a tour?" And allegedly, remember you guys, this is all rumor. I can give you one. I have a few contacts. We can go to the Dabney for dinner and then back to my place, and I can blow your brains out while pulling on that luxurious hair. Now, again, I just want to say this is a rumor on TikTok, but I feel like it needs to be addressed. And then the guy on Grindr says, "Oh, straightforward, I see, LOL, especially from a man who won't show his face." And then this man says, "Very discreet here, married with a few kids, not trying to mess up my situation." Go to the next slide. And then it says, "What time should I pick you up from your hotel?" And it is a picture of none other than Moses Mike Johnson. Now, I want to say, I don't know if this is true or not, but I do want to say that I think that men, alleged straight men, that talk about gay people all the time, I personally believe that that's very Freudian, and I personally believe that they're probably gay or bi-curious. And so it's important for us to dig into the psychology of Moses Mike Johnson and his wife, Kelly. Put up the next headline. This is from Vanity Fair. Mike Johnson's wife founded a company that equates being gay with bestiality and incest. Now, that's insane. That is insane. These people are fucking crazy. Okay? They are fucking crazy. Take away the Grindr thing. I don't know if that's true or not. I do know that during the Republican National Convention, Grindr crashed twice. But what married woman that's getting laid frequently by their husband thinks about gay sex and then equates it to bestiality and then thinks that they're a normal person?
Well, obviously these two, because they're nutballs. But interestingly enough, you have the covenant eyes, swapping porn and the kids. Everything is about staying away from sex, staying away from gay people. I'm with you. When you're talking about it all the time, you're trying to convince yourself. There's just no question about it. People secure in their sexuality, whether it's homosexuality, heterosexuality, bisexuality, they're not talking about it all the time.
You know what gay people don't sit around and talk about? Heterosexual sex.
Correct.
They're not consumed with it. They don't sit around and how can we end the straights? How can we end the heterosexuals? They don't give a shit. Healthy heterosexuals don't give a shit. I could care couldn't care less that people are gay. The only problem I have with the gays are these lesbians that I play pickleball and tennis with, and I'm just going to say they are better athletes. All right, let's move on to the next headline. Kelly Johnson. So Huffington Post reports that the wife of Moses Mike, Kelly Johnson, she runs a counseling business that in its opening documents compares being gay to, among other things, having sex with a family member or animal. Specifically, Onward Christian Counseling Service 2017 operating agreement states, quote, "We believe and the Bible teaches that any form of sexual immorality, such as adultery, fornication, homosexuality, bisexual conduct, bestiality, incest, pornography, or any attempt to change one's sex or disagreement with one's biological sex is sinful and offensive to God." I mean, these people sound like they're a fucking blast. I mean, can you imagine? They're just wound up like a cheap clock. It is not normal. Nothing about these two is normal. They are the biggest freak shows in DC because they are religious fanatics that are consumed with gay people having gay sex.
Well, and this was the mission statement that apparently she put up on her counseling service website. Like, our mission statement is this. Like, she's obsessed. She's every bit as obsessed as Mike Johnson.
I'm just going to say, I would think, and this is just my own, I think she's not getting laid.
Or I think she might, I mean, in my opinion, if you're talking about it this much or this worried about it, sounds to me like she might be a lesbian.
You think she's a big old leslie?
I kind of
each other's
so.
beards?
Right.
I either think she's not getting it because Moses Mike is busy on Grindr, or like you said, she herself. And there's always this talk in liberal spaces that we can't talk about people that are allegedly in the closet. And this is where I disagree with this. I think that if the governor of Texas, who is in a wheelchair, tries to take away rights and recognition to other handicapped people, and he gets called Governor Hot Wheels, fucking good for that. This is fuck you politics. I think if there's a bunch of closeted, homosexual, obsessed, right-wing Christian fanatics in Congress or in the White House, and there's a lot of psychological, circumstantial evidence that seems to point to a Freudian case that these people are closet cases themselves. Tough titties, they're getting called out. Because let me tell you who the bravest people in this country are. The bravest people in this country are out of the closet homosexuals, especially those from red states, because it is brutal here. These churches and these the parents of gay people shame their own kids. So they are the bravest people in the United States of America. Next up, Moses Mike Johnson was appointed to be dean of a Christian law school. And the Christian law school wanted to teach biblical law, biblical worldview. Okay. So this is the Paul Pressler School of Law, and it would unashamedly embrace a biblical worldview. And so Moses Mike, again, he is appointed to be the dean of this whack job, nut job law school.
I'm no great legal scholar, but I went to law school, and there's no way that the Bible and the law can combine to educate somebody on how to operate in court, district courts, appellate courts. Like, they're not compatible. So this, obviously, the law school never came to fruition because A, it was stupid and it couldn't get accreditation. And B, there was alleged financial impropriety, which as a shock to no one. But this thing is nuts from the word go.
Let me ask you this, Pump. You grew up going to Sunday school. I didn't. But doesn't the Bible give you instructions on how to treat your slave? Eye for an eye, tells you to, there's incest.
Have sex with your dad, all that stuff.
Yeah, also, hey, try to kill your kid to prove to me how much you love me. JK, just kidding. I mean, it's really demented. And for me, I know that there's going to be a lot of people in the comment section, but there's a lot of parts of the Bible, if you're a completely secular person that wasn't indoctrinated into it, the way a Christian light person would view Scientology or being a Mormon is the same way I view a lot of the passages in the Bible. I think this is really demented, sick stuff. But speaking of demented and sick stuff, let's move on to Moses Mike. So Pressler, who was the namesake of this law school, was sued in a civil case that has since grown to include allegations of abuse by multiple men who say he sexually assaulted them, some when they were children. The matter, which is still pending in court, helped spark a broader reckoning by the Southern Baptist Convention over its handling of claims of sexual abuse. And this comes as no surprise to me because being raised by an atheist, my mother always told me the bigger the Christian, the bigger the secrets. And this has always proven to be true in my entire life living in the Bible Belt. The loudest Christians that I ever heard, the people who recruited me the most to be in their church, were the most screwed up people that I knew. They had the most screwed up marriages. They have the most screwed up family units. And I'm not saying we're perfect over here, the Welches. I mean, I've had my fair share of problems, but I don't have this type of moral duplicity. And this is at the core of this evangelical stuff. They try to suppress sexual urges, which is insane because your body is meant from an evolutionary standpoint to perpetuate the species. So this thing that religion, especially these evangelical Christians and far right Catholics try to do is suppress this suppress this sexuality. And then all of this fuckery comes out of it. Look at the priests, look at the Southern Baptists, look at whack job Moses Mike and his wife that's never getting laid either by him or by the lesbian of her dreams. I mean, it just produces a lot of problems.
Well, it does. And what's so interesting to me, we have always sat on this show and said, the more you're screaming about gay and all that. So you have Mike Johnson and his wife. They're anti-gay, anti-gay, anti-gay. Allegations that he's on Grindr, anti-gay, anti-gay. Studies under a pedophile. Apparently, by all accounts, this Paul Pressler was Mike Johnson's mentor. I mean, he was in deep with him. He studied under him. He believed in him. Turns out he's a pedophile. All of this is right on brand for everything we've ever said on this podcast.
Pumps, and he's living with right now. Moses Mike is living with this evangelical grifter. I think we have to stop calling them evangelical preachers and start calling them evangelical grifters. He is living with an evangelical grifter in Washington, D.C., who is rumored to be a closet case. And then the condo that they live in together is owned by this man who is on his fourth marriage, whose ex-wife claims that, and this is during the divorce proceedings, that he made her watch gay porn, made her watch videos of him having gay sex with men. And it's this huge divorce in Nashville. And so this is who Moses Mike hangs out with. This is who the guy who wants to talk about Jesus and Donald Trump being, some sort of prophet and God's vessel. This is the Speaker of the House of the United States of America. And I vacillate all the time. Like, what should we be sounding the alarm about more right now? Should we be sounding the alarm more about Elon Musk being a full-blown Nazi, or that the Speaker of the House that all of the Republicans voted for is the biggest whack job in Washington, D.C.? I mean, in my opinion, Moses Mike Johnson is the biggest freak show in the United States of America. Marjorie Taylor Greene, Nancy Mace, Lauren Boebert, and all the Doge Micro Penis Committee, none of them come close to touching Moses Mike Johnson and how fucking crazy this man is.
Now, he's totally ill-prepared to be a leader because he has been taught all this crap his whole life.
He's a fanatic.
He has no empathy. He has no ability to think about poor people. And I just think it's interesting. He says he's this big Christian, but he only abides by the cruel parts of the Bible. He doesn't abide by...
Don't million Americans, isn't that why Trump's president?
Right.
Yeah.
No, I know. He's the leader of the, let's go with the cruel parts of the Bible and helping the sick, feeding the poor. We don't care about that. Right. And it is just... I cannot wrap my head around how this man who now, okay, so we have this huge viral sensation on TikTok. Right after, this was this week. Last week, he showed up in full-blown drag on one of the weekend shows. He's living with the God. I mean, it's just unbelievable.
I'm telling
this
you,
is where
I
we
could
are.
do an episode every day on Moses Mike Johnson. And if you start back to, he had this adopted black son who now has completely disappeared from his life entirely, whom he monitored porn with. Like, again, that's sick in and of itself.
Right.
That's so incestuous and weird that your adopted black son and you are monitoring each other's porn use. I think that is one of the creepier things. Then he takes his daughter to some purity ball and puts a wedding ring on her hand, saying, your virginity's mine until I pass it on to your husband. His wife is so obsessed with gay sex because clearly she's not getting any or the type that she wants. I think these people are an example of millions of Americans under them that believe the exact same thing. And everybody wants to talk about, how do we talk to MAGA? You see Gavin Newsom face planting, embarrassing himself, having Charlie Kirk and all these people on. One of the biggest problems in the United States of America is this Christian base. And as crazy as Mike Johnson is, you know this, there are millions and millions and millions of Americans that believe this exact same shit and that are equally as consumed with demonizing gay people, demonizing trans people. And here's a message that I want to give everybody, and this is what's so important right now. The reason the Democrats should never abandon trans rights is very simple, because the minute we abandon trans rights, then they're going to keep moving the goalposts. And eventually it's going to get to where they're coming after everyone. Either everybody is equal or nobody is equal. So Gavin Newsom's faceplant and capitulation to the right over trans rights is a very dangerous precedent for anybody that truly believes in democracy and truly believes in equal rights, equal protections. It is a very dangerous precedent. And the obsession from MAGA over gay people and trans people, to me, is a big tell. And I think you've got a lot of men and women that are very bi-curious, and they hate that about themselves because they've been indoctrinated in these whack job churches to think that sex is dirty and that they should feel shame about it. And who gives a shit? If Kelly Johnson and Mike Johnson want to do a slap and tickle, if they want to be swingers, I don't give a shit, but I'm not the religious hypocrite.
Right. I don't want to get on and start slamming people and demeaning people and dehumanizing people that have different values and beliefs than I do.
It's
and that's
dangerous. It's dangerous and it is anti-democratic. And that is why we sit here and defend the rights of everyone. And the messaging going on in the Democratic Party right now about, oh, we need to go to the center. It is a very dangerous precedent. When you start capitulating to fascists and you start capitulating to Nazis and you stop defending the rights of the most marginalized people in this country, you are every bit as bad as they are. And if you don't have, if Democrats don't have enough of a spine to say we stand up for everybody and we want equal rights under the law for every citizen of the United States, period, with zero nuance in that. If you don't do that, then you're just as bad as these fascists, in my opinion.
Well, and I think it goes to show, like, already under the Trump administration, in 10 states, all red states, they've made laws trying to ban gay marriage.
Yes, they're coming for it.
They're coming.
All right, please subscribe to our channel. We're trying to hit 1 million subs, and we'll see you all later.
Lots of weird things about this guy that, MAGA seems very quiet about. I don't see any pushback either from what comes out about him and this kind of a secret life that he lives, and I'm not trying to, like the girls, I'm not trying to make people who are gay and all that into something bad, okay? What I'm talking about is the hypocrisy, okay? Be what you are. Don't pretend you're something you're not. Because that's really what's more offensive, is if you are gay, then just be gay. Don't act like it's such a bad thing and condemn others for it, okay? It's the worst kind of insult to give, is when you're somebody and you don't want them to know what you are and you attack everybody for being that. okay, it means you hate yourself. You know, you hate yourself. You can't stand being what you are. But at the same time, behind closed doors, you're actually doing what you claim you hate. So I can't imagine what it must be like to live this way. You know, it's like, you know, it's like living two lives, basically, two lives. You're living a life in front of the cameras and in the public life, but behind closed doors, you take that veneer off, you take that mask off and everything, and you become what you hate or what you're attacking other people for. You know, but you don't want anybody to find out. But you know, living that double life, eventually you get caught. And there's a lot of things that's been coming out about Mike Johnson that kind of raise the question mark, you know, as to, you know, is he a gay person? I mean, you know, what's up with this person living with him? You know, this so-called evangelical person here that's living with him, and you know, and all these things that are coming out about him, and then this thing about his wife. I mean, you know, it's just it doesn't gel. It doesn't make sense unless you just admit that, yeah, he's gay. He wants to live a gay life, you know, but he's at odds with himself. He's fighting with himself over it. Okay. And, you know, this thing where he had an adopted son that now he won't talk to him anymore, I guess. Whatever happened to that, I don't know. But I mean, they went after John McCain, you know, for having a child that, you know, was black and all that. And they criticized him, you know, him when he was trying to run for president way back when. And they used that against him. And here, Mike Johnson, I mean, he's got all of that and then some, and nobody, you know, MAGA's quiet, everybody's quiet, you know, nobody's saying anything, okay? And even when the Democrats are coming out pointing all this stuff, they're still not saying anything, you know? So if they're not saying anything, that also raises some kind of suspicion that maybe they know something about Mike Johnson, and they just don't want to, you know, they don't want to come out protecting someone who is gay, okay? They want him to stay where he is. They need that seat, right? They need him because he's got an R next to his name, but they don't want to do anything to make him lose the seat or something that'll upset that balance, okay? So they're keeping their mouth shut about it, all right? And that goes to show you just how, what do you call it? Narrow-minded. And, you know, with them, it's all political, it's all politics, it's all about getting what they want, even if they have to sacrifice people's reputations, you know, and throw people under the bus to get there, okay, the way Trump is doing things. This is how they want to railroad the United States into becoming what they want it to be, okay? Once they get done with Mike Johnson, they'll toss him under the bus. Okay, but for now, they need him where he is, and they need him to control that seat. And they don't want to do anything to bring scandal or stain on him or whatever. Of course, the scandal would only mean so much to them. Like I said, most you know, people like me wouldn't care if he was gay or not. Okay, the fact that he would come out and be open about it, you know, we'd admire him for that at least. But if he's going to be hypocritical about it, that only says that he hates gay people, right? Because he won't admit to being gay, if he is. And if he hates gay people, then, you know, he's definitely not somebody that we want representing, you know, that part of our population. So, like I said, you know, it's a difficult position for him to be with as he struggles with this lifestyle he's got and trying to keep it secret, but it's not staying secret. I think things are leaking out here and there about this man, and it's going to get to a point where the truth is going to get out one way or the other. You know, and they're right, you know, about you know, Christianity seeming to have this unending issue with sex. You know, they're constantly trying to oppress it all the time. And it's not natural. I mean, even the priests themselves, I mean, they'd have to take an oath, you know, to be celibate. Why? Okay? Why? You know, just because they think Jesus was celibate, you know, as he lived his life, okay, which we can't really say with for 100% certainty. There's a lot of things about Jesus that got skewed over the years and centuries, okay? We don't know if he was celibate or not, and it wouldn't matter anyway if he wasn't, you know. The fact is, it wasn't about the man that made things important. It was what he said that was more important than anything. All right? I mean, the words that he said, you know, to people wherever he went, people they liked what he was telling people. That's the most important part. I mean, if it came out of the mouth of a woman, okay, they probably would have changed the sex of the individual that spoke it, because, you know, women were just outcasts in those days, and they were for a very long time after. But you know what I'm saying? You know, when they're willing to do that to make make something look better, I mean, who else knows what else they tampered with? But the idea that these priests have to be celibate, that's only something that comes from the Pope, you know, and you know, that's not right. Okay, it's just not right. You're suppressing a human condition that really is not. There's nothing wrong and sinful about it. Okay, the whole reason why people still look at that as sinful goes all the way back to the Puritans that came into this country. They thought that was sinful, sex and all that. Oh, we can't do it. We don't have anything between our legs. It's not there. It's just not there. You know, they were so afraid of it. Okay. They were so afraid of it, and it's human nature, okay? It's human nature. This drive to procreate, it's there. I mean, hey, didn't it say in the Bible too? You know, be fruitful and multiply, right? One of God's directives. Well, who are you to question God? If He told us to do that, then by Jesus, you're going to do it. You know, but no. He just, you know, people just, for some reason, they took out of the Bible the wrong messages, and they built a whole religion around it. And Christianity to this day is still struggling with those directives and those rules and stuff like that. And they can't live by it. You know, they're trying to do the impossible. Okay, and it's never worked. How many times are these priests and you know, ministers and stuff like that get caught doing something, you know, like pedophilia or having sex with, you know, other men or something like that. You know, it's because they're in denial about what's natural for humans to do. Okay, you know, and I think a lot of problems probably would be better served and solved if they would simply just allow the priests to get married, allow the idea of sexuality to be taken as something normal. If there's nothing wrong with it, you know, we shouldn't be secretive about it. We should be open about it, because it's like breathing and eating, you know, and taking a shower. It's normal, okay? It's part of what we are. All right? I mean, even animals aren't even afraid of it, so why the fuck should we be, you know? I mean, it's just, it creates so many problems. It creates so many fucking problems when people try to fight against it. You know, like, why? If we're not supposed to have it, then why isn't everyone just neutered at birth? Okay? Why isn't everyone just, you know, cut the whole thing off, you know, but at the same time, we're supposed to be able to have babies. Well, you can't have babies if you don't use what you got. You can't. It doesn't work. You know, I mean, we wouldn't be here today if people stopped doing it. So how the fuck are we supposed to do it but not do it in a sinful way? You know, Jesus. But it's really sad that, you know, people are on this crusade against it, and I think it sprouts other issues. Okay? when they start attacking that, and then they start attacking abortion, and they start everything to do with sexuality, they're at war with, you know. And that's the part I hate about Christianity, is the hypocrisy, because the same people that are out there fighting it are the same ones that are creating crimes doing it, okay? They're the ones that are at home watching child porn, out there molesting, out there raping, out there doing that, and yet they're sitting in church and they're ministers and they're doing, you know what I'm saying? Those are the ones you got to look out for. Sad to say that you can't look at a priest without wondering now anymore, because it's happened so much, you know, that it's crazy. All right, you can't look at these people as being pure anymore. They're just not. And I think it was wrong to ever think that they were, because like somebody had told me, you know, human beings are human beings, okay? You have to take each one as they come. You can't judge them all because of what they do or what their you know, career is or whatever like that. Everyone's capable of doing heinous shit. And it's all about self-control, and it's all about, you know, how they have discipline. And if they ain't got self-control and they've got no discipline, then anything can happen with that individual, okay? You know, obviously, people who are, you know, alcoholics or something like that, it started with no self-control and no discipline, and it just became worse and worse and worse. Same thing with smoking. No self-control, no discipline, and they kept doing it, you know, and it's just a lot of things happen. Human nature, all right? And, you know, what priests and stuff like that, I mean, they sacrifice one of the important functions of a human body. They sacrifice, but they can't, they can't do it. You know, nobody ever figures how difficult that's going to be at certain parts of your life, you know, like, you know, I mean, I can imagine midlife crisis for a priest is like, that must be like 3-4 times worse than than it is for somebody else who isn't a priest. You know, I can't imagine the stress that puts on a person, you know, and it's just not right. I mean, that's abusing yourself, you know, abusing yourself. And, you know, I wouldn't expect anyone to inflict that on themselves. I don't give a fuck who you, or, you know, what you represent, okay? If, you know, if you have a temptation to drink and your religion says you can't drink, okay, you know, why? Okay, you know, a person can drink in moderation, right? And it's not a big thing. And I just feel like, you know, what the hell's the point of being so hard on people and people being hard on themselves? And that's what Mike Johnson's doing. Why is he bothering with trying to fight that, okay? I think we live in a country that's just a little more accepting of the gay culture than he thinks. You know, he grew up in a very claustrophobic kind of, you know, how can I say it, echo chamber of people who are all against homosexuality. But because of that, he thinks, you know, it's so taboo, I can't even talk about it, when outside of that, you know, that box that he lives in, people are working their way to be more accepted. Right now, it's the trans thing that's a big issue here, okay? But of course, that leads back to homosexuality, and you know what I'm saying. But, you know, I think more people today are willing to just allow the homosexuality to go on, even though they may not like it. But, you know, if he comes out and says that he's gay, I mean, I don't think the fallout would be that impactful, okay? And if they get rid of him because of it, then that'll only show the public just how, you know, simple-minded his constituents are, which we already know they are, but that would just add another piece of evidence on the fact that these people are fucking backward, okay? And that they're not anyone's ally. So, but that's really kind of, you know, my takeaway from this this video here from iHip. So, well, anyway, I've got this this package here from Venice, Italy. Don't know anybody in Venice, Italy. So, see what the hell it is, right? Some kind of a book with oh, wait a minute. This looks like something my father was working on here. I do recognize this book here. Yeah, this was my father's book here. He's everything he ever wrote about, you know, about the Holy Grail was all in this book. Well, let me see. Yeah, there he is. I even made some money here to meet him up over there. And okay, well, I guess, you know, I'm gonna have to figure out what the hell this is all about. So, you know what? I'll catch you guys later. So, subscribe, comment, and share. And keep your ears open for any health-related issues. And you all live in a community. You got neighbors. Get to know them. You know, be a community. Help each other out, because we really need that right now in this time. So I'll get back with you again later. Take care.